Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of PKM Weekly. Let's see what's in store for us this week. So first up, Obsidian. The team has communicated through Capano of how they communicate through themselves without any meetings. And basically Capano gave us a little bit of insight into the team communication at Obsidian and how they managed to get things done. And how they do it is GitHub pull requests, so code reviews and changes. Tasks, PRDs, design docs, memos, roadmap, that's through Obsidian, and chat day-to-day for status updates and other things. And you can see the full post here that Capano did, and he goes into quite a lot of detail, responding questions and points from users. So quite an interesting insight into how Obsidian get things done, and maybe a bit of an insight into how we could do things as well. Next up was Habit Tracker in Obsidian. So if you want something along the lines of this, and let me just pull up a few more images because there are quite a few things. So something like this for habit tracking, then definitely do check out the Reddit post from this user. Quite a lot of upvotes, quite a lot of comments as well. And he basically says that if you want something to track your habits like this in Obsidian, let me know and I will publish it and we shall see. So I've not seen it published yet, but it does look very interesting and it does remind me quite a lot of Griply in the way that they structure things. So it'd be quite nice to see if Obsidian or if the user manages to do this in Obsidian. And one does say it looks neat, but for me it will heavily depend on how it works with daily notes. So hopefully there will be a way that you can have these in your daily notes and then you can track them, tag them as done, and that will flow through to the Zenboard plugin. So definitely something to look into, and comment if you haven't already just to get the OP to publish it. Next up, we've then got what's your biggest gripe with Obsidian. So this is one that was posted again on Reddit as well, and he thinks it's fantastic, but if there's one thing that you don't like or could change, what would it be? And again, quite a number of comments and image handling, which I fully agree with, that the image handling in Obsidian is something that leaves a lot to be desired. So hopefully the team, through their great communication skills without any meetings, can actually improve that and make image handling a lot better. Next up was a video by Mike, and he talks us through how to resurface journal entries for daily notes with the Obsidian bases. And in this video, 10 minutes or so long, he goes through what bases are, how they work, and on this day inspiration and adding date tokens and things. Talks us through the whole setup of resurfacing your journal entries with Obsidian bases. So definitely worthwhile having a look through if you haven't already. Another one was Baseline. This is a theme. So if you want to try out the baseline or a theme add-in with Obsidian community themes, that's now available. And he's the creator of Cupertino theme. And it basically enhances your Vault experience just so you can get things effortlessly minimal and endless ways to make it yours. So again, definitely worthwhile checking out. You can see it on GitHub here with a few images and screenshots of what it is and how you can tweak it to your liking. So definitely worthwhile checking that one out as well. And that was it for Obsidian, so quite a lot of things happening in that space. With Capacities, I did see in the weird and wonderful world of the internet that there has been rumours and rumblings about a better graph view, and that is to make it getting a makeover and some much needed performance updates and improvements. So it's going to load faster and be a lot more fluid, and it will support also larger graphs with a cleaner UI. So something to look forward to if you're a graph user. Keep a lookout on Capacities because that should be coming soon at some point. And it is a requested feature by quite a lot of people, although at the same time quite a lot of people say I don't use a graph view, what's the point in it? So an interesting take on that one. And another one was just a bit of praise for Capacities. They jumped from Obsidian to Workflow to Notion to Logseq and many others, but they just couldn't make it work. They're not a student or a writer or anything else along those lines, and they just want something that can work with math and code and sync with the devices. And he just basically talks through of why Capacities feels like it's the app for them. So that's a good one, good bit of praise for Capacities on that one. Tana, they did have quite a few updates as well. So there have been some things that Tana are working on, and that is especially GPT-5. That is going to be available soon, as well as some other goodies. So we'll see what those other goodies are. Now detect meetings in Telegram, WhatsApp, Signal, and FaceTime. Add a notification, node name, format code block inline by typing backticks. That is a huge improvement, and finally we should be able to copy and paste code blocks easily in Tana, which has been a long time coming and a long time requested feature by a number of users, and a number of other things as well, which you can check out in the real chat in the changelog, with various different things improved and fixed. So lots of stuff happening in Tana as well, and something to look forward to in terms of the other goodies. They've also got Tana live build session number 2. So the first one, they focused on the fitness tracker, fitness planner, and this time they're going to look at something for the students, and they're going to look at a student workflow hub. So map out your syllabus, capture class notes, track assignments and deadlines, and prep for exam and projects. And again, this is live. It's done over 60 minutes with a completely blank workspace, so you can see exactly how it works, the ins and outs of it, and just to see if it is actually possible to create. And the first one was great, I thought, so this one I'm sure will be the same. And if you have time, it's 13th of August, 1 p.m. Central European time, and you can follow the link here and sign up. So definitely worthwhile having a look into that one. Spend an hour of your time to see it, and it does go into the insights of how you can use Tana in a number of different ways. So even though you might not be interested in a student workflow hub, there's maybe some things from this that you can take and apply to your own workflow. And then Fis, he's prepared a lesson with Intro to Tana Commands. So it's part of Module 1 to the Tana Commands Mastery course that he's got planned. And Master Tana Commands will transform the way that you work in this comprehensive free course. And it's going to look at how to create and configure custom commands, master the complete command, automate meeting workflows, and build AI-powered commands. 10 minutes long, and he goes through the detail of it, workflows, and various different snippets as well. So definitely worthwhile checking this one out and following Fis, because it does go through a lot of things in the Tana space. And it seems like this one is another one that he's offering. So thank you, Fis. Logseq, they've had a few updates or a few contents created, and Danzu is the first one. He created a book framework. So this is an update to one that he created in 2021, and it basically uses the Logseq DB mode to track, read, highlights, ratings of your favorite books, and it gives you the structure to basically build a personal digital library in the way you want it. And it will set up a modular book framework, tag the books, custom properties, and reusable templates so that it's consistent. And again, it's only about 25 minutes long, and you can go through it, and it just does talk through a whole workflow so that you can follow along and create something of a book library to your liking. And then you can have different views with currently reading, future reading, finished, favorite books, etc., so that you can see everything in one space in the Logseq DB graph. Another one was that Yash wrote for a long time. They've been using Obsidian as their main note-taking app, but sometimes they like to use Logseq just with the outlining, and they were using them one with the other, but now they have found a way of basically using them together. And he goes through it with various different examples, how you set up Obsidian first, and what you need to do, various different tweaks, and then what you need to do with Logseq, just to getting them to work side by side, so that you can write notes in one and they will appear on the other one. Now the only thing is, great article, but this will stop if you start using the Logseq DB version. You can no longer do this as far as I'm aware. So just keep that in mind, that if you are using the Logseq DB version, this will not be possible. Next up, Orca Note. They've released version 125 and 126. Bug fixes, rendering optimizations, global command shortcuts, added option to reduce tooltips, favorites, a lot of other things as well. And you can see the full changelog here. And in fact, it's just released version 126.21. So lots of updates happening in Orca Note. So definitely worthwhile having a look at that one if you haven't already. Noteey version 129 is now updated, so now you can do quick notes, set thumbnail, spell checker, support searching, rendering app size after it's closed. And again, 3-minute long video, and he goes through all of the releases and what's been happening and how you can implement them and what they mean. So again, definitely worthwhile having a look at that one, Noteey version 129. And it's very similar to Heptabase, if just slightly different with different pricing points. And talking of Heptabase, they did a video of comprehensive comparison between Obsidian and Heptabase. So as a tool for professional knowledge management and productivity, and especially the core out-of-the-box features, so basically using Obsidian without any plugins, which does obviously limit its ability and PKM-ness of what it can do. But I thought it was a useful video just to compare the two of what Tom thinks, comparing Obsidian vanilla with Heptabase and what you can do in each of them. So worthwhile having a look at that one if you're on the fence with Obsidian and Heptabase. Octarine version 27.7, although I did just see version 27 point something else did come out just now. So more AI providers, so he's given us the opportunity to use different AI sources, /commands and resize media, as well as a number of other things that have been updated. And the usual easiest place to check it out is on the Discord, where you can see what's going on and the various different updates that he's got going on. So yeah, just yesterday he's released version 27.8 with various different improvements and fixes. So lots of updates happening in Octarine, so definitely worthwhile having a look at that one. And what's next? And last but not least, of course, Thymer. So yet another week with still no release, but we do have another tease. And this time, what I think they're trying to show is the little cursor here. So now he's going to do bold and underline, and the cursor changes, and now it's going to be italic, so it changes whatever it is that the font type is doing. So if you're doing italics, the cursor slightly goes slanted, and if you're doing bold and underline, it shows that in the cursor. So very interesting, but I think it's really time that the app was released. So that was it for this week, so thank you very much for being here, and I shall see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.